The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Café. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Sicilian Corner, winner of the Italian Heritage Media Award, with your hosts, Tom Zappola and Mike Lomazzo.
First of all, Chrissy, I have a problem.
Uh-oh.
Tom Zappola? Who's he?
I don't know. You heard of that guy before?
Well, you know something, we're all going to miss Tom. We shared 22 years together. 22 years together. And during that time, I really didn't get a chance to say much. And you and I were talking about this earlier. So this is refreshing for me, I'll be honest with you. And to have as my guest the wonderful, the amazing, and very tall, by the way,
It's true. I am.
Susan Grabski, and she's the executive director of the Lawrence History Center. How are you? How are you? How are you?
I'm very well.
Buongiorno,
Thank you.
buongiorno, buongiorno. Things are good?
Things are very good.
Good. I love it. This is going to be my last time here at Studio 21. And I just want to say, Chrissy, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
First of all, to work alongside of you, and two, to meet you and to become a friend. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah, I've enjoyed that. All that
Chrissy
time
just took her dad, who's here from Australia, up to Malise, up in Amesbury, and he's not accustomed to Italian food. You know, I don't know if it's the spices or they find it hot. But overall,
it's just different in each country. I think Australian Italian food, American Italian
what
food.
is what would be the difference?
I don't want to offend anyone in Australia and say authenticity. Yeah, it's just different use of ingredients. I think as well. I feel like Australian Italian food is a little more. See, I say traditional, but that's to us, isn't it? So it doesn't even make sense here. A lot more. A lot less maybe seafoods and things like that. But maybe I didn't go to an authentic enough one while I was in Australia. I don't know.
But a pasta
like an Olive Garden. That's like, I want to say that's like your standard like Italian restaurant in Australia.
Twice now, Olive Garden has come up in the last 2 days.
Maybe that's why I like it so much.
I don't get it. I don't see the attraction. I mean, they give you a lot of food for sharp money, all right?
Yeah.
I get it. You get the salad, you get the whole 9 yards. But to call that Italian, I mean, Jesus, baby, that's a stretch.
All right. Well, see, that's why I said that. Maybe that's why I like it so much, because that's closer to probably Australian Italian food.
So
when you go to Malise or somewhere, you're like, wow.
Traditional Italian, like, say, sauce. Do you like to cook at all?
I do. My husband cooks more than I do, though.
Yeah, I was married to my wife, Lucille, for 53 years.
Wow.
And I think I told you the story. And we went together for 4 years before that, but we're going to be talking about Pamela Yamin and the award that she's going to be given, and well-deserved, by the way. Absolutely. And she was the past executive director, right, of the History Center? President?
President.
She was president, okay. But when she was just a little tyke.
Little baby Pam.
Little baby, yeah. Mikey and Lucille used to babysit her.
Oh.
And now she's a very successful businesswoman, and you know, she's a delight. I am very close with her dad. Her dad was my first boss at the Butcher Boy. Yeah. The Butcher Boy used to be located. They opened in 1955, directly across the street from this building.
Oh, okay.
It was right on the right-hand side.
Right.
And the place, you couldn't move. They attracted more people up here. In, you know, coming from Lawrence to drive up to Salem, New Hampshire. I was 13 when I went to work for them.
Yeah, they had a restaurant too, right?
Yeah, afterwards. Afterwards. Yeah.
Okay.
But you know, they usually pile into the car to head up to work, and little Mikey at 13 would jump in the back seat, Chrissy, and take a ride up to Salem, New Hampshire. And Salem at that time was all farmland.
Yeah.
And it was one lane going north, one lane going south. That was it. And I'm saying, where the heck am I? You know, this is all brand new to me. But, oh, my gosh, you talk about a hardworking family.
Absolutely hardworking.
You know, and I'm sure Pamela had an aunt, Yvonne. I don't know if you had a chance to meet Yvonne.
I did not meet her in person, but I've heard much about her.
That woman could do anything any man could do. And I'm serious. Up here, she knew more about... I bought my first IBM stock because of her. And I wasn't 21, so I had to put under my father's name at the time.
Okay.
You couldn't own stock at a young age.
Yeah.
But I admired her, and she would be on her feet for 13, 14 hours a day. Never lost a step.
Yeah.
And her father, Kenny was a gentleman. Like I said, he was my first boss. And her uncle, Tom, who just came back from Florida, he just came in Sunday. He's my best friend.
Okay.
He was my best man at my wedding party. We're getting married, and I says, Tom, you have the ring? So he looks at me, Chrissy, right? And he goes, yeah, I got it. And he looks inside his suit jacket. He forgot it.
Oh, no.
He forgot it. So we had to call a taxi. His wife had just given birth.
Oh, jeez.
Had to call a taxi, go to his house in Methuen. She was standing out on the side of the road with the ring, handed it off to him. The guy comes screaming down because we offered him a good tip because we needed to have it. Mm-hmm. Comes bombing down Essex Street, turns the car up, makes a U, he almost flips the car over, and he says, I made it on time. You guys promised me X amount of dollars. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no problem. And we come rushing into church. My hair's all messed up and everything. The bells are ringing. I mean, it was crazy. It really was. It was really, really crazy. You know, I know you're into history big time. Last week, I was up in the Berkshires, and we stayed at a place called the Red Lion Inn. I was telling Chrissy about it. 250 years old.
Okay.
And the only thing I could think about going through my head, Chrissy, was, is this place haunted? And because it reminded me of, it should, but it's just a fantastic, fantastic property, and so well maintained. And you know what it's like when something is old. Right. You know, you go to fix something, you're screwing something else up. You know, especially if it comes to plumbing and whatnot. Yeah. But in your room, the floors, naturally, you're always running downhill because nothing's plumb. Right. Nothing's plumb. But I admired 250 years. I mean, in Las Vegas, they put something together. They'll build this Taj Mahal, whatever. And 35, 40 years later, they're tearing it down to build something new.
You see that a lot locally with schools that they were built in the 1950s, and they're tearing them down to rebuild. So,
and I don't understand
that either.
But the Red Lion Inn, boy, I'll tell you, I would recommend. It's in the Berkshires, and if you love history, like Susan does, you would enjoy this. And some of the paintings, they had a birdcage elevator, and on the birdcage elevator. And this thing moves so slow, you could walk up the stairs quicker, but, you know, that's a story for another time. They had this little chair in the corner. So in case you needed to sit down, like some people have trouble standing up for long periods of time. And there's this chair all upholstered in the period, and it just sits in the corner waiting for you. Okay. I just thought it was super, super nice. Susan, were you from the Lawrence area, or?
I was born in Lowell, but I grew up, my family moved to Andover when I was 3 from Billerica. And so I grew up in Andover, graduated from Andover High, went to UMass Lowell, where I met my husband. We lived in Lowell for a long time, lived in North Andover, but I've been in Haverhill for the last over 20 years. You
know, the one thing that I think separates Lowell from Lawrence is Lowell was blessed with some real powerful politicians. And I think dollars that were available for tourism, I think a lot of it was directed toward Lowell. My opinion only.
No, there's
directed toward Lowell. Because both cities I mean, basically Lawrence really became developed because of Lowell, right? I mean, they used it as a blueprint.
There was a model. So Lawrence being a planned industrial city, they looked at what went right and what wrong in other neighbor or nearby cities, which Lowell, of course, is 10 miles up the river, down the river.
Yeah, upriver. Starts up north. I think the river is like, 133 miles long or something like that, 130 plus?
Yeah, I don't know.
It really gains a lot of momentum as it starts getting down by the Amesbury area, where Melise happens to be.
Yeah.
And it's cool.
And Lowell has a larger footprint, generally speaking, too.
Yeah.
They have it's I think maybe 3 times larger in geographic area. They have the national park system. They had Paul Songus.
The colleges.
There, the college. So a lot of investments on the local and federal level into that city that Lawrence hasn't had the benefit of.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
However,
it seems like if we're on a level playing field, I think Lowell was a little bit favored because of some of the people that grew up in the Lowell area and represented Lowell in their district.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in Lawrence. I grew up in South Lawrence. Yep. Don't hold that against me because I loved it. But all the guys at the St. Delphio Society, the majority, grew up in North Lawrence.
Yep.
You know, there was a 5-block area like Tommy Zappala. That's where he grew up. And you know, their backyard was, out in the alleyways. And they have different memories of the city because it was so close together.
Yeah.
I was 5 years old when we lived near the stadium on Exeter Street. And I was in an Irish stronghold, and it was totally different. I mean, it was tough. I mean, there was a lot of malicious names being tossed around, and you get used to it, and you get big enough that you can protect yourself, and life is good. I can't really complain. You mentioned Lowell, and I keep thinking about Lowell and the great football teams that they had, and some of the coaches that they had, just phenomenal. I had the pleasure, as you probably know, because I believe at the History Center you have a football that I think Larry Lefebvre presented to you. It was probably the Chelsea game or something like that. I saw a picture of it, and it's pretty neat. Brought back great memory. Speaking of that, real quickly, football team, the guys that I played ball with, we still get together. Not all, naturally, but there's about 12 of us. We get together and we have breakfast every 3 months.
Okay.
And that's been going on. I'm in charge of our 60th high school reunion. That's what I'm doing right now. Mm-hmm. It's going to be September 1st. And you think back all that time, we still get together. So it's
Do you call yourselves the Romeos? Is that term the Romeos, retired? What does it stand for? Retired something men eating out.
No, it's just.
But you're not really retired because you're working right now.
You call this work? You call this work?
My friend's dad is Joe Ponte. I don't know if you know him.
Okay.
But he goes out to breakfast with his friends, and they call themselves the Romeos. And I had the acronym wrong. And
he probably plays 45s.
I don't know.
You were pretty close. Retired old men eating out.
Old men eating out.
There
Yes,
you go.
thank you.
Romeos.
Maybe I was hesitating to say old.
I'll say it. I'm not on camera.
Unbelievable. So tell us, what's the mission of the History Center?
Is to collect, share, preserve, and animate the history and heritage of Lawrence and its people.
And by that you mean?
Well, so the mission used to be to interpret the history, and interpreting history has some sort of complicated because you're looking at primary source documents, the record, and you're coming up with what you think happened, which is tricky because there's so many different perspectives on what happened. And so to say animate, you're giving life, you're enlivening that history with the voices of the people who lived it, not, a scholar saying this is what happened, interpreting this is what happened. So anyway, I know it's wordsmithing, but it's important to us to make sure that people know that we're open to all ideas and thoughts and perspectives on on history because it's complicated.
And the Lawrence History Center is existed how long?
45 years. This is our 45th year. We were founded in 1978 by a German immigrant named Eartha Dengler.
She must have been really something, huh?
Yes. And quiet, from what I've never met her. I've met
No,
her daughter.
I mean, just researching her.
Yeah, but she was a small, soft-spoken woman, however.
But carried a big stick?
Yeah, basically. She had been involved somehow with the YWCA at that time, and they were, cleaning up their records. So there were all these records of of immigrant women and their children, and these records were going to be, thrown out, and she said, "Let's hold on to them." And so those were the first collection.
Okay, that's how it started.
That's how it started. And so it started there in a small room at the YW, and then has grown every year. The collection has grown every year. We, 31 years ago, were able to purchase the former Essex Company headquarters, which is at 6 Essex Street in downtown Lawrence. And
right across from the Holy Rosary
across
Shrine.
from Holy Rosary. And our largest single collection is the business records of the Essex Company. Of course, they were chartered in 1845 to build the Great Stone Dam, to carve the canals, and to essentially lay out the city where, the 17 acres for the North Common, and, where schools, churches, other things would be built. And so we have the bulk of their records, and I say the bulk because many of them, of the records, have gone to what was the American Textile History Museum in Lowell, but they, I think in 2018, disbanded, and those records went to Cornell University. Yeah.
Really?
Yep. So they hold the other part of the Essex Company records in their archives, well preserved, and I think they're going to start digitizing them so that.
I was just going to ask you, they're all digitized?
They're not now. I mean, it would be a heroic effort to do it. Cornell has the resources more so than we do to be able to do that. And it's never bad to have a partner like Cornell that you're sharing information with.
How many people can say that, right?
Right.
That's great. That's great. You have help. We've met a couple of the young ladies who were in not too long ago in the studio with us, and they were fantastic.
They're great.
And you know something? It's not all about money. It's not about do, re, mi. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have a passion. And it rubbed off on the two young ladies. And one of them, I believe, was a volunteer, right?
So Amita Kiley was one, and she's our collections manager, and she's
a peach.
She's got longevity over me. She's been there since the early 2000s. She went to Northeastern University and did her work. They call it work study program. Her placement.
Yeah, they go to school for 6 months and
and never left us. And now thank goodness, because she's a doll, and she's so talented. So good with the collections. So that's Amita. And then Sarah Morin Barth is our board secretary. And she started as a volunteer many years ago, showed up on our doorstep and did her master's in design, museum studies from Harvard University Extension School. So she just showed up and volunteered, and she was photographing objects and different things for us. Then she ended up. Then we twisted her arm, got her on the board. And,
you used the influence, did you?
That's right. And she spoke about a project that we'll maybe touch on later that she's doing for the Feast of the Three Saints in their 100th anniversary this year.
From what I'm hearing, that's gaining a lot of momentum.
It does.
100 years.
I know. Incredible.
Wow.
But now Sarah has worked for a number of organizations, including Esperanza Academy, and now she's a development strategist at Elevated Thought, which is an arts and social justice organization over in the Everett Mill, right across the street from the History
There's
Center.
quite a few art areas in the city of Lawrence, more than most people realize. I'm looking at Island Street, Canal Street, in that area. I mean, it's amazing. There's little niches here and there. You don't hear much about them, but I think it's wonderful that they can create, and it brings back a lot to the city.
Right.
Culture, arts, to me, is the best. Listen, we're going to take a quick minute. We're going to listen to our sponsors because if it wasn't for our sponsors, the Sicilian Corner would not be here. All right. Okay. I got a couple of questions I want to ask you. Why don't we take a break, Chris?
Ciao, this is Esther of You, Me, and Sicily. I want to talk to you about Tommy Amin and the great staff at Butcher Boy Market. Families, foodies, and home chefs come together at Butcher Boy to talk good food and create traditions. They offer the best in quality cuts of beef, pork, lamb, poultry, and restaurant-style steaks and chops. Produce? All of their produce is hand-selected to complement any meal or even to make it your main course. Their deli serves fresh roast beef, turkey, and beautiful imported Italian cold cuts, cheeses, and antipasto. And don't forget the Butcher Boy Bakery, featuring sweet delectables from all over the state, as well as their very own bakery. That's Butcher Boy, where the secret to a great steak is, of course, the steak. Located at 1077 Osgood Street in North Andover, Massachusetts, in the Butcher Boy Plaza. Ciao!
Today.
Today, Lawrence General Hospital has affiliations with leading Boston academic medical centers. Top specialists from Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center and Floating Hospital for Children at Tufts Medical Center work with our local doctors to bring world-class care close to home. Today, amazing partnerships are happening at Lawrence General Hospital. To learn more, visit lawrencegeneral.org/today.
Italian artisan cuisine combines simple, fresh ingredients with time-honored preparation to create an incredible culinary experience. At Tuscan Kitchen, located in Salem's historic Depot District, talented chefs prepare everything in-house from scratch for all to see. Guests enjoy their meal literally in our kitchen as food is prepared right in front of you. Wood ovens burn from morning till night, roasting vegetables, baking bread, and firing delightful thin-crust pizzas. Prime steaks are seared on a wood grill. A rotisserie slowly roasts marinated whole chickens and lamb, while a pasta maker creates fresh fettuccine. More than just artisan cuisine, Tuscan Kitchen features the wine bar, live entertainment, weekly wine tastings, and elegant private dining and event space. Call 603-952-4875 or visit TuscanKitchen.com to make a reservation and learn more about the culinary adventure that awaits. In Italy, cooking is an art form. Tuscan Kitchen. Experience artisan Italian.
Orthopedics Northeast and Essex Orthopedics have joined forces as Mobility Bone and Joint Institute to bring improved access and outstanding medical care. While our name has changed, our dedication to exceptional care remains the same as it has for the past 30 years. Same location, 16 Pelham Road, Salem, New Hampshire.
A loyal sponsor for the Sicilian Corner is Hilton Oil Company. Hilton Oil has been located right across from the South Lawrence Common since 1932 at 101 South Union Street. Hilton Oil Company specializes in 24-hour burner service, oil deliveries, including automatic deliveries serving all the Merrimack Valley area, plus portions of southern New Hampshire. If you want your car fixed right the first time, bring it to Hilton's state-of-the-art service station. Remember, Hilton's is also a Mass State Inspection Station. Hilton Oil Company, 101 South Union Street in Lawrence. Call 978-687-9793.
This is Cindy
and Mike Kunstler,
owners and operators of Four Oaks Country Club and Grazia Italian Restaurant in Drake, Massachusetts.
Grazia Italian Restaurant is the hidden gem of the Merrimack Valley.
Why is that?
In addition to the spectacular views overlooking the golf course, we have an incredible new chef, Oscar Figueroa.
We still have all the favorites, but Oscar has created a lot of excitement with his new specials.
Scallops, seared to perfection.
House-made ravioli with farm-fresh local corn.
And buttery, tender, lazy man's lobster, just to name a few.
You have to come experience Grazia Italian Restaurant for yourself.
Grazia Italian Restaurant, located at Four Oaks Country Club, 80 Meadow Creek Drive in Drake, Massachusetts. Hope to see you soon.
And we're back. And our guest, Susan Grabski, the Executive Director of the Lawrence History Center. City Archives Lawrence History Center, what is there a difference?
So we are an archive, but we're a not-for-profit. So
a lot of people were referring City Archive.
Right.
But that is the Lawrence History Center, so that there's no confusion, correct?
Yes and no. So
doing business as the Lawrence History Center, would that classify it?
Yeah. Well, so we're Immigrant City Archives, doing business as Lawrence History Center. As you said, we're a separate, not-for-profit so we raise all of our money. The Lawrence Public Library has special collections, which are archives also. And the collections, I believe our collection is larger, but they're complementary, so we work with them. And then, of course, the city clerks have their own record. There's all kinds of levels of archival holdings in the city, but the History Center is the best one. No, I'm kidding.
I can understand that. So what is the main theme right now? What is the big project at the Lawrence History Center?
So there are a number of projects happening right now. First off, we're celebrating our 45th year, and each year we hold a history award ceremony, and we honor either a person or a group of people. And this year we're honoring 4 people. Pamela.
Who selects them?
The board of directors.
Your board of directors.
Months ahead, usually in the year prior to an award being given, we start talking about potential people in the city who have come on our radar, or for various reasons, and we talk about it, and we
Not to have you lose your concentration, but Chet Siddell comes up to my mind.
Yeah,
he was very influential and an inspiration to the group, right?
Yeah, no, Chet Seidel was key in the organization for many, many years. He's actually a board member emeritus, so forever. He will forever be a board member, even though I
believe he passed away in 2018.
2018, yeah. And then his son, Gary Seidel, is still active in the city with Bell Tower Management, and he is also a supporter of the History Center. And of many, many good things. He was Gary was honored by Family Services just last week.
You're right. Mm-hmm. But the theme right now is concentrating on your big event coming up June 6th?
No, June 8th.
June 8th?
Thursday, June 8th. You can see on our website, we're honoring Pamela Yamin, Professor Robert Forrest.
Yay!
I know, Pam. He's a big fan, clearly, of Pamela Yamin. So Robert Forrest, Kathleen Flynn, and Thomas Walsh. So
there's 4.
There's 4, and the sort of overall theme is no one person. So no organization gets...
I like that.
Yeah, gets to 45 years without...
Did you think of that, Susan?
Perhaps. Yeah. We have 2 paid staff at the History Center, but we have dozens of volunteers, people who come to help in different ways. So someone like Pamela Yamin or Bob Foran is a university professor. They're more public, forward-facing people. More people would tend to know them. Kathleen Flynn is a volunteer who has come for decades to help us. She's been in different roles as board president. Now she's considered our head researcher.
I've heard her name a lot.
You have, yeah. And she's a brilliant woman. No one, the research that she does for people on all levels, from Essex Company to the cemeteries in Lawrence to the Essex County Jail records. I mean, there's no one who knows the collection really as in depth as she does. And then Thomas Walsh is someone who's come to the organization since early 2000s, 2 or 3 times a week. He comes in and does a variety of projects, working on the collection specifically. But he'll do really whatever you ask him to do. He's game. But
you need somebody like that.
Yeah, and
every organization does.
Yeah.
At the society, we have Richard Gilmet, and no matter how busy he is, no matter what you need, you ask him, you call him.
Yeah.
I'll be right there.
Right.
I'll be right there.
Yeah. I think no one was more upset with the COVID shutdowns to not be able to come
that
in.
That had to be something.
Yeah.
Huh?
It's a place to go, too. You go and you do good work, meaningful work, and there's a great group of people there. And to be isolated, that was really tough.
Isn't the History Center doing a project about COVID?
We have a book that was released in January called COVID Conversations, and that was a partnership between the History Center, Phillips Academy, and UMass Lowell. We have done oral histories forever. We have like 750 or so digitized oral histories in our collection. But for the last dozen years, our current board president, Mark Cutler, is a Spanish educator at Phillips Academy. He, with his students, have conducted video oral histories with Laurentians. And so during COVID, when he had his spring semester set up with like 6 or 7 folks to interview, and then everything shut down. So we didn't want to not do those interviews. So we put everything online, carried out on, Zoom interviews with people. And those stories became chapters in this book, COVID Conversations, Voices of Lawrence and Lowell. And then
I hear the name Lowell being mentioned a lot.
We partner a lot with UMass Lowell in various departments. So the sociology department, led by a teacher named Susan Grabski, was doing interviews in Lowell with her students through Zoom, doing something similar, although we didn't know we were doing something similar at the time. And they thought that those stories could become a book. Then Bob Forant, who connects us to all things, he said, "Why don't you contact the History Center?" And they did. And so anyway, it came into this wonderful book that just came out. We did a book event at Altair in downtown Lawrence on March 9th, which you can watch on our website. Sarah Morin Barth was one of the chapters in the book, and others. Vilma and Corinna Papalardo did a story. Tom Coppinger from the Point After Club did a story. Marianella Rivera, another young educator, had a chapter.
Your universe is huge.
It's pretty, yeah, we have a nice group of people in the city and then in the local area that have entrusted us with their stories, which is a big deal as an archive. You want people to feel comfortable and trust you with what they're sharing.
Our guest this morning is Susan Grabski, Executive Director of the History Center, Lawrence History Center. I just wanted to ask you, the History Center, Heritage State Park, what separates?
What separates them?
Yeah.
State money. No, I'm kidding. So Lawrence Heritage State Park.
You have to hustle for the bucks, and they get it.
Well, they are part of the state. So the Lawrence Heritage State Park Visitor Center, and then the many, many parks in the city, it's part of DCR, the Department of Conservation and Recreation.
Oh, okay.
So they are publicly funded.
I didn't know
Inadequately publicly funded, but they are.
You notice the emphasis, Christine, you notice where she put that? I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
They need more funding.
So you have to really beat the drums to raise money, right?
So the History Center we raise it all through foundations, individuals, corporations, and some government money. The Heritage State Park, I'm the treasurer of the Friends of the Lawrence Heritage State Park. So we're a smaller group that raises money to support the park's efforts. It's,
wow.
weird little arrangement. But
I mean, they have some great exhibits.
They're going to have an even better one coming up. That was a nice segue. So the Heritage State Park Visitor Center.
How's that for a segue?
Very nice, very smooth. Was created and opened in 1986. The exhibits at the Visitor Center, and hasn't been updated in any significant way since. So the omission in those exhibits is most of post-World War II immigration, Latino immigration. So that's not represented clearly. There's a nod to it at the end of the visitor center progression. So it's 2 years ago now, Mass Humanities had a grant opportunity called for Expand Massachusetts Stories Initiative. It was their first time doing it. I and Jim Beauchene, you may know
sure.
Jim. He was the visitor services supervisor at the state park for, I think, 23 years in that area, and retired, but before he did.
What a gentleman.
Oh, he's a doll, yeah. Everyone's a doll. I use that word all the time. We have such wonderful people in this community. So Jim, and then Mark Cutler, whom I mentioned, the History Center's board president.
Dr. Padova, is he involved? Richard Padova?
He's a seasonal interpreter at the park, so he'll be there all summer at the visitor center, and he leads boat tours on the weekends, and he's a wealth of knowledge.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, he's also a member of the society.
Right.
And I love talking with him because he comes out with things that I never even even thought about in my wildest dreams.
But then you get going and there's a
Joe
lot
Bella.
in there.
Joe Bella's another one.
Yeah, he's another doll.
He's another doll.
Really?
Why don't you tell people your website and how they can get more information? And
let me just quickly about the new exhibit that's opening as a result of that Mass Humanities grant that we did. So it's a new exhibit called Somos Latinos, Our Journey to Lawrence and Beyond.
What's the word Somos mean?
It's, we are Latinos.
Okay.
So it's the story. It was led by, like I mentioned, Jim and Mark. We got grant money, and we, with a group of people, held community engagement sessions. But ultimately, the decisions about the content to be included in the tone, based on what's been in the archive, what was gleaned from the community engagement sessions, was led by was Sarah Morin Barth and about 8 other Latinos in the city. So it was led very much telling their own story about their immigration experience in the city. So we have our opening on June 11th from 1 to 4 at the Lawrence Heritage State Park, 1 Jackson Street, 3rd floor gallery. And
is there an elevator in that building?
There's an elevator. It's fully accessible. The event is free and open to the public. And we hope that everyone can come and bring their families. There's, of course, exhibits on display. There's video oral histories you can watch. There's audio oral histories that you can listen to. We have QR codes that go to more resources on the Lawrence History Center website. And you can also have the opportunity to record your oral history. We'll have a sound booth and a gentleman from an entity called the Voice Library who will be leading people through these brief interviews, but you can sign up for a larger,
if people are hearing about the award night for the first time, are tickets still available or not?
Yes, so we're a little over 2 weeks out from the Dengler History Award ceremony. Tickets are on sale and will be on sale until the day before. If we don't sell out, they'll be available the day, at the door to come in.
And it's going to be at Central Catholic?
Yep, it's going to be Thursday, June 8th at Central Catholic High School, 300 Hampshire Street, from 5:30 to 8:30. Or the Central Catholic.
That too.
I merged the last 3 words.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Central Catholic High School choir was going to be performing during dinner, and there'll be instrumental music and, of course, a speaking program and wonderful honorees, people who are incredible people.
Did I ever tell you that I went to Central Catholic? It was one of the high schools that I went to.
Okay.
Before they threw me out.
I was going to say, we bounced around.
It was a wonderful. I loved it there. I really did. Okay. But there was a little problem, and I ended up having to go to Lawrence High, and I kind of regret it in a way, because that's where I met my.
Sorry, what kind of problem? No, okay.
Yeah, statute of limitations. Are we okay with the statute? What's the statute of limitations there?
I'm sure it wasn't your fault.
Part of it was.
Okay.
But something. As they say, it's water over the dam. And I want to talk to you a little.
Speaking of the dam.
But first of all, I want to hear what else we got going on. So you got all kinds of papers there.
Always with the papers.
And I keep messing you up a little bit.
No,
so
it's okay.
I'm hopscotching around a little bit.
I can roll with it. So we talked about the Eartha Dengler History Award. We spoke about the exhibit opening, Somos Latinos. The Friends of the Lawrence Heritage State Park are sponsoring free trolley tours at Salsa, which used to be called the Kite Festival. It's on June 3rd in a new location. It's going to be held at Pemberton Park versus on the South Common.
Now, Pemberton Park is what, the Central Bridge area?
Yeah, it's on North Canal Street.
Okay.
Up around that area. And, so that's June 3rd, Saturday, 11 to 3. And they're running 4 tours, 2 in English, 2 in Spanish, so that it's fully accessible for everyone in the city. And, of course, Jim Beauchesne is behind a lot of
He's
this.
Coming out of retirement, is he?
Yeah. He's the president of the Friends of the Park now.
Is he going to have his hat? Is he going to be wearing his Rangers hat?
He will not be in uniform because he's not a DCR staff person any longer, but he will be in.
Like you said,
he will be clothed in something. Let's hope.
He can't help himself. Listen, we need to take a break, okay?
Sounds good.
We're going to listen to what our sponsors have to say once again. Mm-hmm. And when we come back, the dam amazes me. The dam, as a kid, it amazes me. And I'd love to see them do something with the North and South Canal. That's another All right. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back, everybody.
Ciao, this is Esther of You, Me, and Sicily. I want to talk to you about Tommy Amin and the great staff at Butcher Boy Market. Families, foodies, and home chefs come together at Butcher Boy to talk good food and create traditions. They offer the best in quality cuts of beef, pork, lamb, poultry, and restaurant-style steaks and chops. Produce? All of their produce is hand-selected to complement any meal or even to make it your main course. Their deli serves fresh roast beef, turkey, and beautiful imported Italian cold cuts, cheeses, and antipasto. And don't forget the Butcher Boy Bakery, featuring sweet delectables from all over the state, as well as their very own bakery. That's Butcher Boy, where the secret to a great steak is, of course, the steak. Located at 1077 Osgood Street in North Andover, Massachusetts, in the Butcher Boy Plaza. Ciao!
This is David from the Sicilian Corner. You know, Mike, Tom, and I love to go to Salisbury Beach, but we love different things and can never agree where to go. Tom likes the casual family-style dining with the great Italian cuisine, Capri's seaside Italian kitchen and pizzeria. Me? I love the elegant romantic vibes Sea Glass with the amazing view and terrific menu with prices that make it the place you want to visit each and every week. Mike loves a drink in his hand and a cool ocean breeze right off the surf and the rhythms of a cooler reggae band. We all know Mike loves Bob Marley tunes at Surfside. Who doesn't love a great show? National acts, comedy, regional favorites, and the beautiful and intimate Blue Ocean Concert Hall. Lucky for us, Atlantic Hospitality is the host of all of these great places, and they treat everyone like they are Mike Lomazzo. Best of all, we never have to choose. Park the car once, and all this fun is right at your fingertips. You can have it all in the heart of Salisbury Beach. Find out all the ways you can have a great night at Salisbury Beach at northshorepavilion.com. And Mike, Tom, and I will see you there.
This is Tom Zappala. Located in the heart of downtown Haverhill, the Haverhill Beef Company is a full-service, old-fashioned butcher shop and meat market that continues to be a valued family tradition since 1952. Peter and Monica Carboni's Haverhill Beef offers individualized service from an outstanding selection of marinated sirloin tips, homemade sausage, marinated chicken, and thick, juicy Chairman Reserve steaks. Your family deserves the best, so call Peter at 978-374-4795 or visit their website at www.haverhillbeef.com.
Hi, this is Mike, and I would like to tell you about the Deborah Care Law Offices, a firm that is focused on estate planning, probate, trust administration, and elder law issues. You will feel comfortable discussing important issues concerning both you and your loved ones, as well as having the information you need to make an informed decision about your family's future. How do I know? Because I'm a client of Dan Deborah Care. If you want to have peace of mind knowing that your loved ones are protected, call Deborah Care Law Offices today. In Massachusetts, 978-686-4645. In New Hampshire, 603-894-4141.
At Catadella Funeral Home, we reinvest in our business to provide your family with the best facilities. It begins with a beautifully landscaped exterior, parking for 250 vehicles, and a comfortable and inviting access to our renovated interior. Funerals can be costly, so you should review and compare plans to make sure you receive services that are fairly priced. I invite you to experience the Catadella difference in cost, facility, and service.
Catadella is honoring and celebrating the lives of the people we loved, providing exceptional care since 1929.
This is Cindy.
And Mike Kunstler,
Owners and operators of Four Oaks Country Club and Grazzi Italian Restaurant in Drake, Massachusetts.
Grazzi Italian Restaurant is the hidden gem of the Merrimack Valley.
Why is that?
In addition to the spectacular views overlooking the golf course, we have an incredible new chef, Oscar Figueroa.
We still have all the favorites, but Oscar has created a lot of excitement with his new specials.
Scallops, seared to perfection.
House-made ravioli with farm-fresh local corn.
And buttery, tender, lazy man's lobster, just to name a few.
You have to come experience Grazzi Italian Restaurant for yourself.
Grazzi Italian Restaurant, located at Four Oaks Country Club, 80 Meadow Creek Drive in Drake, Massachusetts. Hope to see you soon.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Sicilian Corner. My name is Mike Lomazzo. Sitting next to me is the very, very, very extremely bright Susan Grabski. How are you, Susan?
Very well.
You're the executive director of the History Center. I would like you to give the website information one more time.
Yep. So the History Center's website is lawrencehistory.org.
Nice and easy.
Yes.
Excellent. People of a certain age, they live with memories. If they would like to make a donation or to try and help you in any way, how would they go about doing something like that?
They can do it on the website. On the website, there's a Donate Today button that you can
Which
click
is very easy to,
Yeah, easy. You can pay through PayPal. If you don't want a PayPal account, you can still pay by credit card through there. You can mail a check, put a note in the memo if you want it to be unrestricted, or maybe you want it to go towards a specific thing.
And 100% of that is tax deductible?
Yes.
Okay,
Well,
because you are a 501c3,
right?
right?
It's tax
Okay.
deductible as allowed
Very
by
good.
law.
I mentioned the dam.
You did.
That's always amazed me. You know, in the wintertime, I would stand there and just look and look and look at that water. And there'd be chunks of ice coming down from New Hampshire, going over them. And it was a beautiful thing to see. It really was.
Yes.
And why don't you explain to our listeners exactly how that dam, there was a dam there originally, a smaller dam, and they used that footprint to build this monstrosity.
There's a natural drop in the falls there.
Right.
And so prior to 1845, some of the folks from the Boston Associates, some people that were involved in Lowell's development had sort of cited that area
Again with
as
Lowell.
a possible.
Again, you're back to Lowell again.
I was born in Lowell General, so you got to go back.
Right.
So they started buying up land on either side of the Merrimack River, and then in 1845, as I said, the Essex Company was chartered, and they started to build that dam. It's just about 1,000 feet long, which was the widest of its time, and took exactly 3 years to build it. It has had no significant intervention work done since then, so it's an engineering feat for sure.
I think it was the first use of hydraulic cement in the United States. Okay. I read that somewhere. I may be mistaken, but I don't think I am. And at the base, that dam has got a base of 36 feet.
Right. And we have the original drawings.
Oh,
and
you
plans
do? You do
from
the Essex Company?
We do, right. So that shows a cross-section of the materials that were used, the granite, the stone, different types of sand. It shows exactly how it was built.
Wow, it's unbelievable. That thing's, 35, 36 feet high?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah.
That dam really used Irish immigrants. I mean, that was their main source of labor at the time, because the Irish were the first major group to come into the area, into the city of Lawrence. And I'm sure there were a lot of people that lost their lives building that.
Yeah, I don't have the statistics on that, but certainly it preceded OSHA and all of the
OSHA? OSHA? What's that, OSHA?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Lawrence moved forward just in the labor, with the labor unions, moved forward some of these workplace safety measures that are in place now.
You've done a lot of research with the Bread and Roses. I mean,
right, the 1912
what an interesting
strike.
Anybody that gets into that, you'll never get bored.
Oh, no. And then, of course, the Pemberton Mill collapse in 1860, that, stirred investigations about building standards and safety for workers and all that. So the city really has pushed forward a lot of not precautions, but regulations and legislation to make workplaces safer.
Who owns the dam now? Do you know?
So the dam is owned, it's this confusing relationship. So there's a company called Patriot Hydro that is now the owner of the dam.
I'm sorry, what's the name?
Patriot Hydro.
Patriot.
And they were preceded by Central Rivers Power, who was preceded by Enel Green Power.
I remember Enel. I didn't know they sold and somebody else came in between.
They did. So Enel, I think, or Enel, I pronounce it.
E-N-E-L.
Yeah. They pronounce it differently. But than I do. But they had sold, I think, all of their hydro. Their green power, so they have wind and solar and all that. But I think they sold all their North American hydro plants, and Lowell and Lawrence were two of them. But so it went to Central Rivers Power and now to Patriot Hydro. It's a lot of the same staff people that have been involved in all of those companies. But they own it. Essex Company is still what they go by. It's like a subsidiary of Essex Company.
Really?
It's just how it was written into law. Yep.
So do they own the North and South Canal?
They do.
They do.
Yes.
What do you think? To me, I lived in the Greater Lawrence area for 78 years. I kept on saying they could make those canals something like Lowell has done. What they could do with those canals, it could be breathtakingly beautiful instead of an eyesore.
Yes. So they have been in disrepair for decades. All of those companies that I mentioned have had a hand in the lack of maintenance on those canals. So they do not generate energy for the company because water power is no longer being generated off of the canals. There is one...
but it is off the dam.
But there still are licenses to potentially draw power held by places in the city. So they've fallen into disrepair. The walls have vegetation growing through them. The water levels have been lowered. When the water levels are up, it saturates the clay or whatever that's behind them, and it's a natural barrier. When they're allowed to dry up, when they raise the water up, there's all these dry crack holes. So the island, the bills on the island get water in their basements and so forth. When it's been a dance for the last.
Are they better off filling them in,
years.
or
no?
It's history, baby.
Yeah,
it's history.
I know. They're on the North Canal Historic District, so they call it the SHPO, the State Historic Preservation Officer at Mass Historical, has some say in what happens to them. And recently it was in the news that Central Rivers Power had tried. The canals are part of the project license that the Federal Energy and Regulation Commission governs. They were trying to get the canals out of the project boundary, which had everyone very concerned that they would then no longer be responsible for their maintenance. And there's safety hazards now. This is another show, like to talk about this, but Groundwork Lawrence is involved in this. Lawrence Community Works, certainly the City of Lawrence, the City Council President Mark LaPlante has been involved in this.
Mark LaPlante, he's done so much for the City of Lawrence, man, let me tell you.
Yeah.
And I can't say enough good things about that,
I
man.
would encourage people
I wish he'd run for mayor.
Yeah, to follow along on this because they're heading into a 5-year licensing process. With FERC and, of course, Patriot Hydro, and the public should have their eyes on this. They should have their voices heard because these canals should be maintained in this world of green energy. This is a potential source of energy for the community, and if not energy, of aesthetic beauty. Because
absolutely,
they run down the center of the city. You have all housing being built. The view out the window should
all
be
the mills,
beautiful,
the
not
mills.
Something falling into disrepair.
It's nice to see the mills being used again. And some of them are 12-foot ceilings.
Dollars of investments in that area. And to have the canals be in such disrepair, it's not only a safety issue, it's an eyesore, and it's a potential for green energy to be generated again in the city.
We've got a couple of minutes to go, and it's amazing where time goes when you're having fun, huh?
When you say canal or dam, you're gonna go down the canal with me. So,
there you go. Is there anything right now that we have omitted that you would like to bring up?
So there's one ongoing project that Sarah Morin-Barth headed up many months ago.
Dear to my heart. Dear to my heart.
I know. So this is the Feast of the Three Saints is celebrating its centennial this year, and she's created this. It's called 100 Stories for 100 Years, collecting centennial memories of the Feast of Three Saints. So on the History Center's website, on the right navigation bar, you'll see a link to it. It's a form where you can share your memories. You could share pictures. You can upload them.
You can share pictures. Okay.
You can share anything that you can upload, pictures, written work that you've scanned, whatever it is, but that you can enter in whatever you'd like. I don't know what number she's up to. She's hoping to get 100. I don't think she's at 90. So if she's at 50, get your stories in.
I know Tommy Zappala has been dealing with her
yes, he's
this
called
week.
us a few times.
Yeah. So he must be good for at least 10 stories.
At least.
I never seen a guy that wants to talk so much.
personalities?
Oh, let me tell you. Sheepers creepers. He never comes up for air. Never comes up for air.
Well, that's why the form will be.
Have I told you about, this is what you're going to get. Have I told you about, it's hysterical.
I don't know.
Hey,
You
listen,
haven't
it's been a real pleasure. I mean that. What are the hours, by the way?
We're open to the public 9 to 4, Tuesday through Friday, by appointment only on Saturday and Monday too, but reliably Tuesday through Friday to the public.
All right. Okay. Listen, folks, we got to wind it up. This is my last week here at Studio 21. Like I said, it's been a real pleasure. Chrissy, thank you.
Thank
you.
To
Dave, thank you. You guys made me feel like we're part of the family.
Always.
And I've had a real ball. And on June 2nd, tune in. The Sicilian Corner is going to continue. And we're going to be back in Methuen at Costa Eagle Media. Lou Blassie's going to be our producer.
You're going to get so many phone calls from me now.
Anyway, take care. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.
Audio Jungle.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Café, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.